getting late. I could use a drink. Let's take our time.
What's going on, everybody? It's Horror Guy Keenan again, and I'm joined once again with Jill Killington.
Hi, Keenan.
Hello.
AKA the horror guy. Should I call you HG? Like, what is the preferred
I think
nomenclature?
you have to do it like it's a mouthful, so it has to be Horror Guy Keenan.
Horror guy Keenan.
No, it can be whatever. I don't really care. I usually just go by Keenan.
No, but like, so you popped up on my screen, and I immediately commented on your Dinar Kuntz shirt.
Yes. Thank you.
You know, it's a take on the classic Stephen King rules, but it's like with Dinar Kuntz, it's like, well, I think they nailed it on Robot Chicken. They had a really good gag on that for a while.
Oh, what was that one?
There's more. Oh my God, that's like super old, but it's like literally like Dinar Kuntz like runs to Stephen King's house and tries to get a Kuntzy Kingsy collabo. It's like a really, really funny skit.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, he points out that it's like, hey, his books are not as good, but they cost just as much, which is weird.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah,
always.
It costs us to print them. You can't really.
I always remember Dean Koontz books being like, if I ever went to like a used bookstore, like he would have like his entire like 2 shelves or stacks by the register,
That's it. It's like you go to a used bookstore and there's all these Kuntzes right next to the Kings.
Yeah.
And so that's why I always kind of look for with Killington. I was like, ooh, I can like kind of slip in there with it's like, oh, fresh out of Kings, what's Killington up to?
Yeah, right. Not a bad idea.
I'm part of that Kuntz market. Because I saw like some documentary on Kuntz one day where it's like he was living it up, like had like some crazy ranch with his wife and like all these golden retrievers, and there was one special one named Trixie who he like had write books with him.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, you have just all the money to go insane that Stephen King does, but like, you're less bothered, I suppose.
Right, yeah. In the comfort of his little like, little palatial, not having the, I mean, we don't know what kind of drugs maybe Dean Koontz may have done, but we know Stephen King definitely has gone through the ringer, so.
You know what I mean? It's like, God willing, he did all the drugs he wanted to do.
That's right. It got us out some classics we've never would have had.
Being a writer would be. I thought being a writer back then, at least, it probably was true, where it's like, hey, you send your books to New York City, and then you just sit and do whatever the hell you want the rest of the time, and then you send your book to New York City.
Yes, right. And you just wait for a publisher to call you back, We sold it.
That was the 80s dream. It's like, hey, would you like $1 million or $2 million? It's like, $2 million. Great. Click.
Yeah.
The writer is.
To be a writer.
I'm like, now I'm like, what's book talk? Should I be on book talk?
Right.
As in TikTok, like not TALK, which you would easily think is what I'm talking about. No, TOK.
Yeah.
I'm researching book talk and looking into getting to it. So,
TOK.
Anyway,
Yeah.
That's my riff off of your shirt. It's just like, wow, how far has writing come and gone?
It's funny. I was hanging out with somebody who was in the Monster Squad documentary that came out, and I was so excited. They had a Monster Squad tattoo and everything, and I wore this shirt to hang out with them, and they didn't get it.
Oh my God! Like I just realized too, because your shirt really is 3 references deep, right? It's like, was the shirt originally created for Monster Squad? The Stephen King rules.
It's definitely the Stephen King rules. Same.
So the Stephen King rules shirt was the art department or the costumer on Monster Squad made a cute shirt using those little felt iron-on letters.
Yeah.
It went viral like by early 2000s or something. People were reproducing. Now you have the 3rd generation reference within a reference within a reference.
Exactly.
Great.
Yes.
Man. This is okay. So is this our segue into Mondo Con? Because like.
Oh, for MegaCon? Or are you talking about the
MegaCon? There's so many cons and Mondos and Megas and.
Well, I was gonna say
obviously Mondo just had a big shakeup.
I was gonna say we should talk about Mondo, like Funko just kind of firing all those.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about all that, because again, it's like, I don't know what people's business models are. Like, it's like how everybody keeps their business going is like their business.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we can all be upset, but it's like, I personally did not invest in Mondo posters. Did you?
No, never. I saw the pictures and I went, oh my God, those are beautiful. And they're like, they're sold out in a second. I'm like, well, okay.
Lovely. Between the price and the selling out, like literally just now I was at Alamo Draft House in downtown Orlando. Or oh, sorry, LA. You're in Orlando. I'm in
Yeah.
LA. But they had a Deadly Prey. Do you know those books?
Deadly, yes.
You know what I'm talking about? Hold on. Let me see how fast I can grab the book. But anyway, they had of Deadly Prey, which I think are like the coolest covers. Oh damn it! Am I gonna do this thing?
Oh, that's
Yes.
good. Yeah. Oh
So,
man, yes. It's
yeah.
like that Indian art for movie posters kind of
Yeah,
thing.
where it's like in the style of like the way in Asia they would do like these really hand-drawn posters, and most of them are
Yeah.
like mock-ups of like modern movies that are actually far after the era. Like, oh my god, this Point Break poster is so good.
It's so good.
But
I love
anyway,
them.
they were selling the actual real prints of these as well as these books,
Mhm.
but they range from like $800 to $1,000. But they were like the real canvases that the artist painted on. They
Right.
smelled a certain way. It was very, very tempting. Again, I am trying to reduce my credit card insanity, not further it. But I
Sure.
was still like,
Right. So were they selling
But
the?
yeah,
Was it the original posters, or was it like a book that had the? Oh, it was original posters.
no, these are they had prints, but also the actual canvases.
Oh, that's
So
pretty
it's like
cool.
that's what I'm saying. It's like $1,000 for that canvas. Now I'm possibly making an investment. Now I'm involved in the art world. I
Right.
considered it lightly, but again, I was like, it's not really what I want to hang up and look at all the time. But again,
Yeah.
Mondo posters were genius.
Mhm.
But it's like literally, I met a rich dentist recently who like was telling me he collects all these horror vinyls and Mondo posters and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, that's the kind of market you really need for something like that to succeed. It's like you need the avid horror fans who love it and want to bid on it, but you need people with like a lot of disposable income.
Absolutely, yeah.
Who, like,
It's not
have the wall space.
Yeah,
you know?
it's not the starving artists are trying to get those. They would love to have Mono posters on their walls, but yeah, no, it's. But I guess maybe I mean, money talks, right? So I'm sure Funko saw that the poster thing wasn't working out as well as it did before they purchased them. So I think they just allocated a lot of those guys into new departments, whether they liked working on toys or not. Maybe it's a t-shirt department.
So I mean, again, it's like I don't know what the world is anymore, Keenan. I literally have been like looking at like. On TikTok, how the big trend is like people like put a wig on and be like talking to themselves on this side. And it's like, but really, you should get on this diet program or do your hair like this. And it's like, oh, thanks for telling me. I'm going to subscribe to your thing. And I'm just like, this got normalized so fucking fast.
It did.
And it's just like, again, it's like, I'm lightly dipping my toe into live streaming. I YouTubed for a while. It's like,
sure.
I'm trying to see the benefit. Like, I like making new friends. I like catching up with people kind of en masse and like discussing topics and having freewheeling conversations. I like the idea of a salon where we can discuss things.
Mm-hmm.
But the amount of paid schizophrenia in the current society, like what is like the cool thing? Like it's like you'd think Mondo was a good business model, but I guess it sort of wasn't. Again, it's like I don't know.
I mean, you're purchasing you're purchasing those guys because they put out amazing art and they have a good eye for it. So you obviously, as a big toy and figure manufacturer, t-shirts and all that stuff, you'd want to hire them on. But yeah, it just sucks because it kind of took away from what they were doing in the first place. But it's kind of like that. Remember that boom for a while? Speaking of t-shirts, I think it was about like 15 or 20 years ago, but it was that t-shirt a day. Like there was like multiple t-shirt websites where it'd be like $9.99 and it would be a mashup of two of your favorite things, but it'd only be here for 24 hours if you got it. And there was like 20 of these, like they started multiplying and it was like all these just cheap t-shirts, and they would hire these artists to like just cram out Supernatural meets Dragon Ball Z or something. And here's a t-shirt. Here's The Thing meets John Carpenter's Halloween. Shove it out. And it was just like the arts. Once you saw these websites doing it, it just kind of bled the art dry, So,
I mean, again, that's what I want to talk about MegaCon. It's just like walking in there.
Oh, yes.
I didn't realize quite how much anime and manga is in the world. Like, like there would be like 1 in 20 Sailor Moons, or like, okay, that's a Naruto, that's some Pokemons and Dragon Ball. But it just like everybody was in like crazy costumes of like an anime character. I have zero recognition of like what this fandom is.
Yeah.
And that was like everybody there. And it just got to the point where I was so overwhelmed within being there like an hour or something.
Yeah.
And I told you what happened to me was I got a little bit overwhelmed. I was like, oh, here's a place where we can get some beers. I'm going to have a beer.
Yeah.
And it was some crazy dragon stout beer that was like 11%. So
Oh
all of a
no.
sudden I feel like I've been roofied. It's this like convention center full of people in manga and anime costumes for fandoms. I had no idea what they were.
Yeah.
And I just started to feel like my own grandmother would feel like in this place where
I
it's
shouldn't
like,
be here.
what are these people supposed to be? How do they pay their rent? You know what I mean? Like where it's like, does God love them? You know what I mean? Like I just got like so overwhelmed, like just so quickly where I was just
Yeah.
like, what is even happening? And then I couldn't find you because you couldn't find parking.
Oh, it was the
And it was
worst.
just like, it was just more than I ever expected it to be because people had told me it was a big deal, but I had only been to, I go to San Diego Comic Con, I go to like the LA Comic Con, and those are like big city cons. But then
Yeah.
like I literally met people in line where they're like, I'm from Bumblefuck, Tennessee. Like they literally identified
Yeah.
themselves as from Bumblefuck,
And like, all right, got it.
And
Yeah.
it's like, but they literally were so like lit up in the eyes, like so like just like jazzed, where they're like, do you understand that like John Bernthal's in the building? I'm like, oh, I do. He needs to watch it.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like it's like, just that look, that fan look in the eyes, what I really, really like. I like when people, because I've gotten to two where I'm just like, the big thing I was excited to see was there was a big Scream reunion where it was like Matthew Lillard,
Yeah.
Nev Campbell, Jamie Kennedy, Skeet Ulrich.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got in line for that, and they started talking about how like everybody in line might not get in, and I was like, wait a minute, this is a Comic-Con situation. And I was like, but you see, everybody in this line has eyes right now.
Yeah. Everybody's like,
And
wait,
they were
what?
all getting like that, like, don't you fuck us. Like
Right.
we all have those fan eyes. Because it was like literally the only thing I wanted to do. I was like, otherwise walking around and seeing everybody was fine with me, but then I just
Sure.
wanted to see that Scream panel. Where I was
Yeah.
like,
Did you get
this is
in?
why I paid. Yeah, I got in. It was really,
Good.
really good.
Oh,
Like
good. Cool.
they have an amazing rapport. Like that whole crew, like they really like it's like they all went to college together or something. That's literally the way they put it, where it's like
Yeah.
they were in their early 20s, they made this movie. It's come to be like revered and like franchised out. And then now they're like so grateful to the fans where they're like Matthew Lillard was like, you pay our rent, we love you. We'll do
Yeah.
whatever
Right.
makes you happy. Yeah, all of them were really, really lovely about it. So that made me happy. So it was good. I like to go to conventions to see what people love,
Yeah.
but I really do like a focused Monsterpalooza level convention where it's like, okay, we all are here for monsters and horror stuff. Whereas this was just like an explosion of like, okay,
Everything.
there's a Star Wars, Christy Brinkley's here, Chevy Chase, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like where it's like, will you come to Orlando? Is there a fandom demand for you? Okay, we have the National Lampoon's van over here. Like
Right.
here's the RV.
Yeah.
Very, very random, but I enjoyed myself. How were you with it?
Cool. Good.
You go every year?
Yeah. So I went on Friday with one of my coworkers from the comic shop, and I was like, hey, we'll just have a chill day of just, like we'll go on Friday because I know it's a little bit more tame on that day. Just look through comics and meet creators and stuff. And like, not even then, it was still pretty crazy, a little crowded. But it was pretty cool. I got some cool things. The one thing I wanted to do, like my Scream reunion, was meeting the voice of Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Oh wow, he was there?
Yeah, and it's like I know going into this that like his lines are going to be like, like moderately short, and I can just walk right up, meet the guy, put a thumbs up picture, and just walk out with an autograph, and it would be okay. Whereas I'd see people like Chevy Chase, where it's like, well, it's $300 just to meet him. It's another $20.
Is that the real price?
It was like $275 to meet Chevy. If you wanted to
Are
tape.
you kidding me? Like a Disneyland full-on like vacation price to go see, just have a picture? No, because
Right.
like I literally I sat down in the cafeteria and I met this lovely little family, and they were like, "Look, we got the picture." And they showed me the people they posed with, and I was like, I'm not gonna know who this is.
Mhm.
And then like as I looked at it closer, I was like, oh, it's John Bernthal, the guy who plays Daredevil, Matt Murdock, and then it was like one
Kingpin.
other super. Oh yeah, it was Vincent
Yeah.
D'Onofrio. That was who else
Mhm.
was with him. But like, you know what I mean? Like Bernthal had a hoodie on, so I didn't recognize him off top. Like, Vincent D'Onofrio's weight fluctuates a little bit, so I
Yeah.
didn't recognize him right away. And then Matt Murdock, unless he's got the glasses, I'm not sure who he is either.
I think he was
But,
wearing
like,
a COVID mask too. Like if you got a picture with him, he's wearing the mask.
I wanted a picture with Carl Weathers, but he was wearing the COVID mask and his line was short, but I was like, ugh. And then I was like, also like, I wanted to have been doing some bicep curls. Like I'd not been on my
Yeah.
exercise the past few weeks.
Do I
And I was like,
meet
I wanted to do like
Creed with wiggly
well, I
arms?
wanted like a Dylan, you son of a bitch, like hand clasp with
Yeah,
him. And
absolutely.
then again, like I'm paying extra or really trying to charm my way into that where I'm like, come on.
Yeah,
It
right.
just
Come
but like
on.
if I have to Photoshop my own arm, which I would,
Yeah,
but like I
not
was like,
hard.
it was like too involved. And also he was right next to Ralph Macchio and William Zabka,
Yeah.
the Karate Kids guys, and their lines were insane.
Huge. Cobra
How much were
Kai's
they?
relaunched their careers. Like I remember seeing them at MegaCons like, a decade ago, and a moderately
Right.
fine line, but yeah, that show is like now they're bringing the other kids with them and they're like their photo ops. It's like, but I feel like that photo op, like you're getting your money's worth. It's like 12 people. You know what I mean? And all these kids are to go off to be stars and huge things in the future. So paying like the 120 it would probably cost to get that photo, like that's worth it to me. But it's all about the person coming in. They kind of set their prices, and it's not the convention that's figuring it out. But I don't know, man. I don't know
Or
how
it's
all
like
that works.
no, again, it's like what the market will bear, right? Like it's like that's literally the deal with like Cameo, Mondo,
Yeah.
any sort of fandom stuff. It's like what will people pay? What's sustainable?
Yeah.
Because have you done any cameos? Do you know what that is?
Oh, yeah, I know about them. I've had people send me some for like, birthdays or something like that, where I'm like, oh my God, it's one of the guys from Super
Yeah.
Troopers, like.
Oh, yeah, I've never personally done one, but again, like my best friend did one for the only guy I've really paid for is Sexy Sax Man, Tim Capello from Lost
That's
Boys.
right. Yeah, you were telling me
Otherwise,
that.
yeah, and otherwise I did pay to meet Chris Sarandon
Uh-huh.
because I'm a big fan of both Dog Day Afternoon and Fright Night, so that was like, okay, this is two
Yeah.
birds with one stone.
Right. Yeah. You're just like, yeah, there's just certain people that you see that you're like, all right, I kind of just like, I have to meet them, like it's just that weird, like
Yeah,
bucket list thing for you. But yeah, when it gets to the point of
yeah.
$300, I think that's what Millie Bobby Brown is charging for Spooky Empire here in October.
Wow,
300
get your
bucks.
money, girl. I mean, again, it's like you never know where your career's gonna go, and then that's like straight to your own pocket. Like
Yeah.
it's like that's like literally like somebody's collecting that in a fanny pack cash.
Oh, right.
Like
Okay. So,
that's
fun.
not the way Hollywood works. It's like your checks go through so many hands before you get it.
Absolutely.
So
Um,
it's like to get the cash directly from the fan is really kind of sweet.
Yes, I did. This last Spooky Empire, I do them every now and then. I work with certain celebrities. I have a buddy that does that for a living. If he needs an extra hand when he's in Orlando, he just asks me. I'm like, yeah, yeah, totally. I'll sit with it.
So you like help run the table?
Yeah, so I'll run the table. And I did Carl Strucken this last year. He's
Nice. That's what's it called? From like Adam's Family and Star Trek Next Generation?
yes,
Nice.
and sweetest guy ever. I worked with him all weekend. I could not say a nicer thing. You know what he did for me? After the convention, right at the end of the convention, he asked for my address. I was like, well, this could go one of two ways. I don't know if you've seen Gerald's Game at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be weird.
Remember he was creepy in that movie.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but no. So he sent me an Amazon gift card for like thank you for helping me out. Like I was already getting paid to do it and having a good time and stuff, but he like really liked my company and was like, you were a really sweet guy, and sent this whole little thing, Merry Christmas. And I was like, what?
See, that's a lovely experience. Like again, it's like I like it when people understand the exchange of energy and enthusiasm. It's just like that's why I like going to conventions. It's like it's
Yeah.
reinvigorating to see like, oh my God, people are so excited and
Yeah.
seeing like children dressed up and the parents dressed up and the grandparents dressed up. Like I literally saw that like I saw like a whole X-Men team family where it's like,
Yeah.
grandpa is like in the Professor X mobile. Like it was like literally like a comic book version of it. It was dope. It was like so cool. And then like everybody else around him was like cartoon
Yeah.
X-Men from like the 90s or whatever. Awesome. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's just stuff like that where you're so inspired when you see that.
Oh,
It's just like
absolutely.
it's nice.
Yeah, I think that's to wrap it back into Halloween there. You know, that's the joy you get out of Halloween. Whenever that day, like everybody kind of likes to be a Halloween head, but as you know, you get closer to the holiday, I feel like you get that synergy. Like at MegaCon, when it's MegaCon day, you see the look in people's eyes where they're just like so excited to see their other fandoms, and oh my God, someone's dressed up as one of my other favorite things, you know, and it's a cool feeling for that brief moment, you know.
Fascinating to me. It's just like I was watching, I don't know, just like the difficulty levels on people's costumes,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like you're wearing like a giant hoop skirt or painted blue in like Orlando heat. It wasn't that hot that weekend, but it's
Yeah.
just like, you know what I mean? Like it's like you've ostensibly traveled here and packed your paint and your outfit and everything else, and it's just like God bless, like this is like your thing.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
this is your thing, man.
Yeah.
And again, I love it.
And
I love how obscure it is.
and you know how crazy Saturday was. Like I even came later to come hang out with you, and I couldn't get in because the parking was so jam packed. Like you're at the park in G or H, and I'm like A, B, C, D, E. Oh my God, where is G and H? Like if that's how many parking lots are full, like are you serious? Are you kidding me? It was nuts.
Yeah, it was an intense scene, and like I said, like it was just like this is a lot of people, and you just like look around, everybody's like an orc or an elf or just
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean, like some sort of crooked pinkish purplish wig, and
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean, like everybody's like looking over swords, and like, you know, I'm just looking at like these giant boyfriend pillows of Michael Myers, and then I look at these chopping boards. Like the one thing I kind of wanted to buy, that was like, there's like a chopping board section of like all novelty chopping boards,
Yeah.
and there was one for Michael Myers that said "No Lives Matter," and I was
Wow.
just like, again, it's like it's not really what I stand behind. It's not
Right.
like it's like but there's just something so funny. But do I really want to look at that when I chop vegetables? But I don't know. It is
Right.
worth mentioning that this is where we're at as a society. This is like what they're testing the waters of, like, does it sell?
Yeah.
But I kept on thinking, part of the reason I was looking at all that shit was I was like, oh my God, the chopping board people, they have to pack up all those chopping boards and take them back to wherever they came from,
Yep.
whether it's on a little U-Haul truck or whatever else. And I was just like, do I buy one just so
Just to
it's a
help
little
them
bit
out.
less for them?
Yeah.
Just less for them to bear, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
they carved each one, and it's like, oh, they've got so many little Grogus
Mm-hmm.
and so many, you know what I
Right.
mean?
They
Like
don't
it's
need
like
to haul that back.
there has to be something in one of my fandoms that I love, like to
Yeah.
buy, you know, I have to be able to help them somewhere. But then in the end, I didn't really end up buying much. I ended up buying like some elfin ears. Like they were like the Vulcan ears were kind of ugly, so I ended up
Yeah.
buying some elfin ears just because I felt like I needed something. I was like, I'm so normal here.
Yeah. I love that you had
Like,
to put some ears on to feel okay. I'm
I'm
in.
fucking running so normcore in that place. You have no idea. But it's like, I was like, let me put some pokey ears on. It's something, you know? Yeah.
I love
It's a
that.
scene, man. It was intense in there.
Yeah.
So, like, how long did you last on Friday? Were you there for hours and hours?
Yeah, I did the whole day. We got there kind of around. We got breakfast by my comic shop around noon. Got over there, just walked right in. Everybody, all the staff were really cool, super sweet. We kind of just were like, all right, let's do the grid of the floor, right? Like there were panels
Right.
that other people that we were with like wanted to go do, and I was like, that's fine. You know, I'm just gonna kind of walk the floor for a little bit. And I'd see panels, and I would like screen cap them on my phone. Like that sounds fun, but it like Dragon Con, like you never get to it. But I will say this. Do you know who Lisa Lorning is?
The original Wednesday Addams that died, right?
Man, you're spot on. Yes. She was at my very first Dragon Con, and she was with Ken Pugsley, and they had a panel. And
And Weathersby, is that correct?
What's that?
I think it was Ken Weathersby or something like that.
Yes.
Wexenberth.
Yes. Waxworth, I think.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Wexworth. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
But yeah, so like I woke up early and I was like, that's kind of like, it was like my first Dragon Con. I was like, that's kind of what I want to do. Like, I'm going to wake up and I want to go to this panel. And I did. And there was like 16, 17 people in this room for like
Wow.
the original Wednesday and Pugsley. But I was like sitting front row absorbing every little bit of things that they were talking about being on the lots and like the things they would do for fun.
Wow.
Like Pugsley apparently.
Yeah, the 60s. Wow.
Oh yeah, like Pugsley apparently like loved going over to the Lassie set because it was filming at the soundstage right next door, and he got to know one of the Lassies so well that they let him keep one like after the series was done ending and stuff, because they have probably like 12 different
Yeah,
and border
10.
collies. Yeah. So they were like,
Well, it's
yeah,
like the 60s where like one's kind of like not obeying today. We're gonna put that one to sleep. You know what I
right,
mean? Like it's
yeah.
like people are so mean to
This one's not
dogs in the
working out.
60s. It's like, yeah, we're just gonna leave it on a chain outside and see if it gets better. And it's like it's not. It's not gonna get
Right.
better on a
No,
chain.
it's not science. That's not how that works. But but yeah, so like he ended up getting one, and I was like, I thought that was the coolest thing. And he remembers like the smaller things. He ended up when he got older working in production in Hollywood and working on film sets and doing the whole like electrical side of things. And Lisa obviously kind of kept acting and super sweet. And yeah, we lost her what about 2-3 months ago, I think.
That was pretty recent. It was pretty recent.
Yeah.
So when I went to Comic-Con in 2004, when it was like, I don't know, it was not as big a deal quite yet,
Mm-hmm.
but I went to some panel about the Matrix comics.
Okay, yeah, I remember this.
Literally, as you said, it was like 13 people were in the room, maybe less.
Mm-hmm.
And surprise guests, the Wachowskis were both there. Like presenting the comics, they weren't like on the list, but I was like, I wonder if the Wachowskis or somebody will show up.
Yeah.
And they did, and I got a picture with the Wachowskis, and it was just like,
did you have pink hair?
when they were, yeah. That picture's on my Instagram.
Yeah, I saw it. I was like, I always wanted to ask you how you met the Wachowskis, so it's funny you're telling the story.
That's how. It's like literally me and one other kid went up and begged for pictures with them.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm so sorry. I know you don't like taking photos, but please, like, I am such a fan of your work. I have to have a photo with you.
Yeah.
And it was literally like I had a film camera with me. I took it on film, and I was so fucking nervous that like
man.
I wasn't gonna get developed or I was gonna lose it or
Right.
something. I remember like walking around San Diego, like, okay, do I go to a drugstore here and drop it off? Like it was like a tragic situation where it's like now I would just like bloop, million likes.
Right. Yeah.
But back then it was like
pick your favorite of the 4 that you took. Upload the best one.
You know what I mean? But like nobody would believe me. But again, it's like the same thing. Like I don't know. Like a friend of mine told me how they lost a picture with like John Carpenter because they had it on their Instagram and their Instagram got canceled, and they didn't have it uploaded anywhere else. And it was just like, oh my god, multiple backups are the way when you're a fan. You know?
Absolutely,
like,
yeah.
One of the things I saw at MondoCon was they had some like framing area that was like quite expensive, where they were really like, hey, you don't want your photo to get damaged. You have this loose, nice matte photo of you and whatever celebrity you're very excited to meet. Like, you better get it framed right now.
Yeah.
You better get it like in a nice case.
Oh yeah. At MegaCon, they were like, if you got your like little 8x10. So I had an 8x10 of like Courage the Cowardly Dog sign or whatever, and like right next to it, they had like the little hard plastic sleeves, like $10. I was like, damn, that's a pretty smart strategy. Like all those photos that you're getting, like you're just walking around with that loose like one thing, and you paid like $120, $200.
Nervous with that $200 pick. Like it's I don't know. Orlando is its own like family friendly casino.
It
like,
really
it's a
is
very interesting tourist trap.
Yeah.
Like I have theories that the way the names of the streets are like poorly labeled and numbered, and then also like it's Orange Blossom Trail. It's 1792. No, it's 441. It's like
right. It just keeps changing.
I'm just saying, like, there's something going on there where at a certain point it's like they're trying to make you miss your flight.
Right.
Buy a timeshare, get some real estate there. Congratulations, you now live in Orlando.
Yeah.
Like, there's some scammery going on. I don't trust it. You know?
We've shown statistics as the more that we change our road names, the more people just kind of stay around. It's crazy.
Saying like it's suspicious. It's suspicious.
Yes, a little. But yeah, no. So yeah, I think it's crazy that we've gone from like, you can go to a panel where the Wachowskis are there and there's like 15 people. The original Wednesday and Pugsley are in a panel, 15, 20 people. Like fandom has changed so hardcore that like even the smallest guests at MegaCon probably packed their rooms to the point where you couldn't go into them, you know?
It's like, that's the lovely thing about the internet is it's like, okay, like literally Wednesday Addams and Pugsley from the 60s are probably they're not getting as many eyeballs as they did in like the actual 60s because like the Addams Family was a huge hit show.
Yeah.
But it's like they're maybe getting as many eyeballs as they were in like syndication in like the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Because like, you know, Instagram is full of like Wednesday Addams doing like her little boogie, like, you know, like all kinds of like little viral clips. And it's just like interesting how like the power of imagery, and because the imagery of like Adam Sandler is so unique and like has continued to be franchised out, and obviously like the new Wednesday show has made it bigger than ever, but it's
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like it's interesting how like one little clip now is all it takes to get famous
Right.
for somebody. You know what I mean?
Rejuvenate
Like,
something. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, but it's also interesting because it's like it doesn't directly pay the creator residuals the way that like an actual like, hey, we've rerun your show in a syndication,
Right.
Lisa Lowe, you're gonna get residuals out of this. It's like, no, like you're gonna get likes. Can you cash in those likes? Only at
Nope.
MegaCon, only at Dragon Con. You know what I mean? So it's like
Right.
it's nice that you can actually literally go shake a fan's hand, and as they're shaking the hand, it's like, there's $75. We took a happy photo
Right.
together, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy
It's
the levels. I
interesting.
heard Hayden Christensen was like a huge thing. Like you didn't even get to see him. Like the dude was behind like drapes
Oh,
in
he
a
was
room.
there?
Oh yeah, yes.
Mhm.
So if you wanted to meet like the original, you know, well not the original Darth Vader, but like these kids' version of Darth Vader.
And yeah, original, not he's not even the original Anakin because you consider Jake Lloyd, but yeah.
Oh right,
How much
yeah.
was he?
I believe he was in like the 250, 300 range as well. Like pretty expensive. Him and
Wow.
Chevy Chase were like top tier. Like you're not getting out of here without spending $300.
That's wild. I mean, again, like Hayden Christensen makes the most sense because it's like Star Wars fandom has like always been rabid, but
And you're
like
coming to
who knew
Orlando.
that the do we call them chasers? What are they called?
What's
What
that?
are what do you call a Chevy head? Like a
A
chaser, a
chaser.
lantern, a poon hound? Like
Right, a
what do you call
poonhound.
them? Like what is there for like a Chevy Chase fan? Like it's like, but at
Right.
the same time, I know people who are like so religious about like Christmas Vacation,
Yeah,
and like, you
huge.
know, like again, it's like Christmas Vacation was always kind of cute, but now like if you drive around any city, you'll see those like Chevy Chase like electrocuted Christmas
Yeah, they put his
decorations that you
body up
built
on
like
their
one
like rain
day.
gutter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like those are everywhere now. And so again, it's just like it's so interesting to me how like the inflatable Halloween decoration market and the inflatable Christmas decoration market is like a massive, massive market. You know what
Industry,
I mean? Like
yeah. Like you're right. Like if who makes that movie? 20th Century Fox, the
the
National
Lampoon.
Lampoons, yeah.
I'm not sure who did that one.
Well,
Yeah, I
so
don't know the.
but you're right. Like you go into Lowe's and you see a big blow up version of like the RV from that. And it has the official Christmas look, Lampoon's Vacation thing on there. So
It's
it's
like
like,
I don't know how that money bleeds back to the writer, producer, like who on the actual, you know, like does Chevy get a cut? Is that, I hope his contracts were that good in the 80s. They probably were because he was like the fucking man in the 80s for a
oh
second. But I'm just
yeah,
saying it's like
top tier SNL
it's
cast
interesting.
member.
Oh yeah, and it's like that, and then it's like your Fletch, your National Lampoons, your he had like all the Goldie Hawn movies. He
Yeah,
was a very, very big deal, but again, it's like it all is like what the contract says. It's just like
yeah.
interesting how that works.
I think,
Anyway,
in my personal opinion, I think after the Community stuff the show Community, he burned bridges with Dan Harmon, and I think he really, a lot of people didn't want to work with him just for being that, you know, like he got like this guy's kind of grumpy on set, but he's like, well, I can do 2 of these cons, and that pays for my mansion, that pays for all my bills, and he doesn't have to work, you know. So like you can, as a celebrity who's dying out but has that kind of clout, and if someone shows you how much money you can make in those 4 days, it's hard to say no.
I mean, again, it's like it's direct marketing, you know what I mean? It's like everything else is like filtered and like you're waiting for residuals come in, you're suing for like, oh, let's like that's the famous thing in Hollywood. It's like, oh, well, this movie is clearly like airing a lot, but yet the residuals aren't coming in. What's going on? You
Hmm.
have to do like a whole audit of like what's going on with like the finances, and people are trying to hide that like, hey, Lampoons is playing all the time. There should be massive residuals. Where are these things going?
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. That's the way that like the industry works. Whereas it's like, sorry, are you in this line? Where's your $250? Have we checked off this person who's paid their $250?
Yeah.
Big smiles from Chevy because it's like you literally just paid him the equivalent of going to see like what 6 of his movies or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
not just going, but like
and
what he
and
would
you'd never
make.
see that much money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what he would make on a film set, you know, like you see what actors have, you know, get paid for their roles and stuff like that. So for someone like Chevy Chase, who is be top tier, you know, getting paid, that paycheck at a con has to be a lot.
It just must be nice. Like it's like again, it's like it's a nice thing to have people lined up to see you. Like I saw Ralph Macchio's face when like people were lined up for him. He was stoked. You know what I mean? Like some people like ran up and took a selfie and like kind of stole a freebie.
Yeah.
And he allowed it. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's just like interesting how it's like, okay, like no matter what the energy of like being around people who love you, even if they're kind of ripping you off. Like,
sure, yeah. I saw one the other day. It was Dave Grohl, and he was on the street, and all these people were like, Dave, what do you want to picture? He just kind of like bows and goes, guys, I only do autographs for charity these days, but like I really appreciate it. And they were just like, oh, you're a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. But if you go into the comments, everybody's like, yeah, those are all scalper pieces of shits anyways. Like you don't give those guys time of day. Like the ones that like aren't fans, they're just looking to flip your autograph. And he's probably spent so much time signing for people just trying to flip his autograph. That's just not even worth it. Like that's why he puts it all towards charity. Like, you know, he knows he's doing good with it.
It's like all this stuff is so weird. It's like when you think about like autographs were from a time before everybody had cameras on their phones and could just get like a selfie and pose with their favorite artist
to prove that they met them. Yes,
we got this. Yeah, this signature was the quickest way of showing that, and it's like then eBay and everything became a thing, and just I guess before that even fan shows where you could just buy the fucking autograph. I don't know. It's just like it's interesting how people all want a piece of something they love, and or hey, it's Keenan's birthday. He loves Dinar Kuntz. I'm gonna buy him this autographed book by Dinar Kuntz and get him to sign it off to him and blah blah blah. Which, by the way, everybody make sure you send Keenan a lot of Dinar Kuntz
God.
books.
Send me all the paperweights.
He loves the Night City, the night. Like it's like refrigerator magnet games where you're like scary word and then the dark or something. Like it's all like kind of it's cute.
Man, cease and desist.
They can't all be sitting kids.
Right. They all no, not at all. To read from the chat we got right now. Let's see what we got in here. Nether News tables. That's I think you should leave joke. Yes. Rob, Jill just wanted to say that you did a killer job with the stand. I know that the neckbeard king stands have got a lot of shit, but I thought it was fucking great. Hey, nice.
Why, thank you. Everything you liked about it was me, and everything you didn't like about it was not me.
Exactly. Which, by the way, I'm going through it right now. I'm on episode 5. Yes, so I'm going through the adventure.
Oh, that's you're directly in like the ones that I scripted a bit.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting is like we came out during the pandemic and shot right before the pandemic, and it's one of those things where it's like the show itself takes place mostly in the time where they're trying to rebuild after everybody's killed off. And so it's like at the time I was like, well, I just want to do every page of the book. Like I love the book so much growing up that I was like, I just want to start on page 1. We shoot that. And it's like
in your head. Let's do it.
Anything that's like a little too boring or a little bit too dated or a little bit too internal that we can't dramatize in the right way, then we start to embellish. But it's like I just wanted to do the book. That was just you know that's where my family laid. But again, the way that things worked out was that you know we did the show the way we did, and it's interesting in retrospect to be like, okay, now that we live in a streaming world where people can find anything at any time, my hope is that more people will find that show now that it's like maybe a bit more palatable. Like nobody wanted to watch a pandemic show right when we're in the midst of it and like maybe gonna die.
Yes,
like,
the ultimate curse.
Time where it's like, you know what I mean? Like we were like just holding your toilet paper like this and like, okay, are we okay? I don't know if we're okay.
Yeah.
It's like that was not necessarily the stand times, but now as we rebuild and again, it's like there's so many things about Stephen King's The Stand. It's like when I read that book as a kid, it was so weird that somebody would be named like Rat Man or Trash Can Man or like have these new names for themselves. It's like, no, that's all we all do now. Like we all have gone insane after the pandemic.
Everybody has a handle.
Walking in Vegas, you know, like we're all just.
Yep, we're all VR people walking through Vegas and
pointing to things and nothing. You know, like hey. Like and subscribe my shit. You know what I mean? Like
if there's ever a way, if there's ever a way we can, you know, shout the stand out from a rooftop that's other than just kind of like, oh, we're buried in Paramount Plus, you know, like, because I don't know how else it's going to get kind of that front page.
I thought we might get a big bump from the Amber Heard trial. We did not get a bump from that. People prefer to watch her on the stand,
Yeah,
rather than talk about the stand. Maybe Ezra Miller's The Flash will get us another bump. I don't know.
yeah, that's
All
right.
I know is so on the set of The Stand, I filmed with like my own virtual reality 360 camera. Ezra Miller setting off this whole scene, like an actual scene we shot of him blowing up a facility live with pyrotechnics
Yeah.
in Canada. Like we shot him just, we had multiple cameras set up, but myself, I was just holding my Insta360 like, this is fucking footage, man.
Yeah, right.
Had to start from like Ezra being like, "What's my line, Jill?" It's like bumpity bumpity bump. And he's like bumpity bump, and like went up in his character all insane and like with all this shit. And it was like on the news in Canada, and it was pretty cool. And
No
it's like
way.
pretty cool in the show. But it's like I have not strapped on a VR helmet in a while and like watched that footage, but it was cool.
Man,
it's right when I first did it, because like that was when I was still doing a lot of VR 360 stuff. But yeah, that is some of the cooler footage. I shot a lot of me walking around the sets of The Stand and like on set.
Yeah.
Didn't get that much because I was like, CBS was super
strict on there.
It was Paramount. We shot it for CBS All Access, and then it right away ported over to and became Paramount Plus. But anyway, at the time they were super like, don't put any of this on social media, try not to film anything. And so it's like, I didn't sign any NDAs, and I was allowed to shoot whatever I felt like, but I didn't put it up on social media because I knew I was going to get in trouble. But
right, yeah.
Someday I will release my 360 footage.
Right, yes.
Once we're all wearing VR and AR glasses all the time, then
you'll have content.
Right now, as of now in April of 2023, nobody's wearing VR goggles, including me. Some people are wearing them when they're watching their PS5s and whatever, but not many people.
There's still, PlayStation's still pushing it and stuff like that. It's not officially dead. I think it's just taken because I mean, do you see people using the 360 cameras on sets anymore just for fun or projects?
Like sometimes, not really. Like
the Jackass guys, didn't they do that in one of the movies?
Really.
No.
No, they didn't really shoot in 360. They shot 3D.
That's
which
right.
is a completely different mechanism. But like again, Insta360 is cool for shooting, just very easy footage. Like it's very good for like, you can do like a lot of interesting effects with it. But yeah, the actual appetite for people putting on the helmets is pretty low. So.
Yeah. That makes sense. That checks out.
I enjoy it myself, but yeah, it's dizzying. It's a whole thing to put on the helmets, and
I get it. Livewire Press, hello. Rob says, I did press at Walking Dead Con years ago and was so amped to see Sherman Howard from Day of the Dead. Everyone walked past him, so I spent the entire weekend with him. That's funny. Is that Bub from Day of the Dead? I think I had him. He was sitting next to my table when I was with Carl. I got to know him, and he was really nice too. It was crazy. Like we drove in from the hotel to the convention center, and it was Carl, Bub from Day of the Dead. And then I don't know if you saw the new Monsters movie on Netflix, but
no,
there's a guy that plays. It's a movie.
Look, everything's for somebody. I tried to put it on. I was not enjoying it myself.
No, it's one of those movies that like Rob's filmed it in like Bulgaria for like during pandemic for like they were stuck over there for like 3 years, and he said it was the worst experience, and just like Universal was always hounding him on like when he was gonna get done and what the budget was, and they rebuilt the whole house and the neighborhood and everything. So I can only imagine the stress for it, like, and then it just kind of comes out and just flutters off, like, what are you doing next? And he's like, dude, that was 3 years of my life in Bulgaria during pandemic, and you're asking me what I'm doing next? Like, I can't.
There were shoots during pandemic. It's like, it's one thing if you were like Matt Reeves making Batman. It's like, here, we're gonna keep on throwing money until you feel like we have it. You know what I mean? It's like, we're not gonna like, don't get Robert Pattinson sick, keep everybody working, like, you know what I mean? Like it's like a big production like that, but like a smaller production, like, again, it's like we never know the struggle that Rob Zombie went through to bring us a Monsters movie that most people did not
care to watch
necessarily Yeah, it's just like, again, I a huge Munsters fan? No.
Yeah.
Am I the market for Munsters shit? Yes. And it's like, did I put it on? I literally was like, hey, I just want to have some Halloweeny shit on right now. Let me put
Yeah.
this on.
Hmm.
And after a while they started singing and I was like, this is getting to be like much for me. And again, that's
Yeah.
just my opinion. I want other people to love it. Love it all you want. I'm never going to stop anybody from loving something they love. But for me, I was like, I can't watch
I
this.
love when the musical
I
stuff and
can't
you're like,
do that
I'm
Rob
out.
Zombie stuff with. Well, again, I don't want Rob Zombie delivers the goods. Like you were the one who sent me the that they're reissuing House of a Thousand Corpses, and you're like,
Yes.
please go
I
instead, you
I
know.
just got it. And it's like the coolest. Like this whole little reissue thing. Like they made like this special package for it. It comes in like,
Oh, that's nice.
oh, it comes with like a poster and like all these cards and just fun stuff. It's like it's the neatest. Like the packaging looks all super cool and just, yeah, I love it. Like it's my favorite horror movie. Yes, it's up there in my top 3.
Really?
Yeah, it's I
I
have
mean, I enjoy House of a Thousand Corpses more than a lot of his stuff. I really
I get
enjoy the
that.
style of that. I enjoy the style of Texas Chainsaw 2. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
I dig it.
Well, the 20.
I like when he's like just visual and exciting like that, you know?
Yes, and I think that movie, because you've seen his other stuff, that movie's like that pure drip. Like he's coming off of White Zombie into that grungy his own, like, you know, that number 1 Hillbilly Deluxe album that he came out with. Rob Zombie was like in the pure essence of what he was right when he started making House of Thousand Corpses with Universal. Like he knew what he wanted out of a horror movie for so long. And we got all those like deep colors and those like a little bit of Texas Chainsaw, a little bit of Spider Baby. Like we got so many cool things from Rob.
Yeah, he had the flavor back then, and then it's like again, it's just like there's just times where it's like I picture Rob Zombie putting on his little glasses and writing a screenplay. And again, it's like picture me putting on my little glasses and writing a screenplay. I look just as stupid as anybody. But like you know what I mean? But it's like
Yeah.
how many drafts is Rob Zombie doing? Because I do a lot of drafts. I work really hard on scripts and
Oh
it's like
yeah.
again all the notes and doing there's a lot of balancing of like hey you got to balance budget, you got to make the producers happy, you got to
Hmm.
make the financiers happy. It's so hard to say who's accountable for why something turns the way it does, but it's like it goes to the director and it's like people love to blame the writer, but it's like if you're the writer director like Rob Zombie is, it's like bro you're to blame. And it's
Right. It's all on your
you know,
shoulders at that point.
again, it's like, I would love to have his career and his freedom. It seems like he's got the greatest little horror life for himself, you
Oh
know.
yeah. Do a concert
However,
one year, do a movie. Yeah.
but I'm the fact that he couldn't pull together monsters that like I would dig. I was like, You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like it's not that hard. I'm really easy to please on stuff like that. Like I had no expectations for the monsters.
Uh-huh.
I'm not like the monsters are a sacred project nobody should touch. I'm like, no, it's fine. Just paint them
Right.
green and like have Herman come out like this and Grandpa says some shit. Like it would have been fine.
Right. Yeah.
You
You
know?
know, we could play around in that world and be okay. Well, there was
But
the
it
guy
was gross. I didn't like it.
there was the, yeah, there was the guy that did Hannibal for NBC. I think Brian
Yeah.
Fuller.
Brian Fuller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did a Monsters pilot called 1313 Mockingbird Lane.
Huh.
It starred the chubby kid from Stand By Me. Was it Stand By Me or what's the one on the train tracks? That's Stand By Me, right?
So Jerry O'Connell?
Jerry O'Connell played Herman Munster.
Wait,
Ellen.
I can't believe that you called him the chubby kid from Stand By Me, but he's done so much since.
I know, but I just knew
Like,
you would exactly know what I was talking about. I just couldn't remember his
no,
name.
but I'm also saying that like literally Jerry O'Connell has married Rebecca Romaine Stamos and worked out every day since he turned like 18.
Should I have
to
said
be as
Satanic
hot as
Panic?
possibly can. Okay, just so you would not call him the fat kid from Stand By Me. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm sorry.
I wake up and it's time to go to the gym, and I'm like, nah, I'm not going today.
Yeah.
Every day he's like, I'm not gonna be the fucking fat kid from Stand By Me anymore.
This is the reason I didn't get
And he
along with
goes-
anybody on set.
He gets the abs right every day. He's just this all day, and you'll still like, okay, Vern.
Yeah, I think it was him that he had a thing recently where he talked about how the kids were mean to him on the set, and they just eventually apologized to him, like as they all got together as adults. Like, dude, I'm like, I think Corey Feldman and stuff was like, I'm sorry about that time. And
Okay, so one time I interviewed Corey Feldman
Oh.
for something. Like we were going to do a behind the scenes book on Stand By Me.
Mhm.
Interviewed him and Will Wheaton. Couldn't get to Jerry O'Connell. Anyway, Corey Feldman had footage from the set of Stand By Me that's never been seen anywhere. Literally
Wow.
playing on a laptop that he was editing at his house at that day. And again, that day was all fucked up. Like
Yeah.
you get if you get Corey Feldman alone, he will convince you that everybody in Hollywood is a child molester. I've lived here a very long time.
Yeah.
I would say the percentage of child molesters is equal to or lesser than in other places. Because again, Orlando's a sus ass place.
Sure.
I grew up in Atlanta. You know what I mean? Like
Right. I know that.
I don't think it's worse. I think it just attracts certain people. But he's like, no, they all are. And it's just like by the end, I'm just like, okay, I'm ready to leave. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh.
However, he had footage from the set of Stand By Me of like literally they were like putting grapes on Jerry O'Connell's head and teasing him. And then like Will Wheaton and Corey Feldman were like running around. And the really cute thing was that both Corey Feldman and Will Wheaton were talking about how they were best friends with River Phoenix. I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
Of course everybody thought they were best friends.
Right. Because he's like, because you know, like on set, they were just like, he's the coolest fucking guy. He's the coolest kid ever.
I mean, like it's like, of course that's your best friend. And then like clearly like everybody wanted to be his best friend. But anyway,
yeah.
That footage is, I keep on waiting for that footage to crop up somewhere, but it hasn't. But it's like, you know, Corey, please release it.
Corey's living his king life right now. I've seen like, I mean, he's done a few conventions here where he just comes, shows up with his angels and does like a stage show and like goes to another city. And somebody stopped him the other day on the street and he's wearing like a nice coat and everything and big glasses. And he was really sweet to the person talking to him, like that was filming him and everything. Like he just seems like he's just living his.
Please. He's in a better place. He was in a weird place when he was like trying to make his doc.
Yeah.
Like and all that stuff. He was in a very weird place. I will say he has started doing a goth rendition of Cry Little Sister at his concerts.
Yeah.
And numerous people are sending it to me on like Instagram as a joke. And I'm just like, okay, ha ha ha, but like this is kind of fire.
Yeah, right. Like he did it. Like he goes hard. And who else is going hard on Cry Little Sister right now? Like I know Manson did it a few years ago.
The only other person is the originator of it, who's G. Tom Mack, aka Gerard McCann, aka
yes.
like don't try to beat me on Lost Boys Jeopardy, you will lose.
Right, honestly.
The only other person singing that single is the originator of it, and then Corey Feldman's like, wait, what if I put this in my repertoire? And it's like, it's banging, keep it up, Corey. Like this is where you should be. Because again, you can age in the off. Like it's like Morrissey's still touring.
Oh
Robert
yeah, The
Smith
Cure. Yeah.
Filling out. Like I saw Peter Murphy kill the game last year at Cruel World. It's like you can be 60s, 70s, all the way to the grave. Goth will take you. So it's
damn
like
right.
Corey Feldman, Godspeed into the goth world. Because my favorite part of the interview was we asked him, like, just real quick, we're like, oh, you're how old now? You're like in your 40s, right? And he like literally goes, And it was like, you were in the Goonies in 1986. I was like, you know, like you were like 11, 12, 13, 85, 86. Like,
yeah,
you're clearly not like 29.
Yeah, he does not like hearing his age out loud. Like, even though we all know his age.
And I was like, when I was like, it's a matter of record. Let's move on.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Oh my God.
But it was just like, oh my God, Corey Feldman's particular brand of madness is like, because you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I always feel that way about child stars, where it's like, how must it feel to be like the specialist little person that ever existed?
Right.
And then you start getting pimples, and then maybe you get addicted to heroin when you're 15, like him and Corey did.
God.
And then it's just like, oh.
We should.
You know what I mean? Like, and then it's like now the rest of your life is here, and you're in your 30s, and
right?
It's like you're 40.
Yeah,
like,
and you see like the flashbacks happening as you tell him he's in his 40s. Like, God, we should do it.
You know what I mean? But it's interesting because oh my God, so during pandemic, a lot of were drive-in theaters coming back in Florida? No, because Florida everything stayed pretty open. Drive-ins were a major thing here in LA during pandemic. Like it was like a big event where you could like literally not the drive-ins were selling out.
Yeah.
And I went to a drive-in movie theater where they were playing Lost Boys on one screen, Goonies on one screen, Stand By Me on another, and I think it was like something slightly newer, like they had like maybe like Tenet on one of the other screens. But it's like
at the same time.
Like, wow, Yeah, well, it's a drive-in movie
Right. You just
parking
pick
lot. So
wherever you want to go. Yeah.
like you kind of aim your car at whichever one you want. You buy a specific ticket, but regardless, I'm looking around. I'm like, oh my god, there's residuals for Corey there. There's residuals for Corey there, and it's like,
Yeah.
wow, he's probably the most he'd made in theatrical release in
Dude.
like 20 years or something during pandemic, because
Yeah.
people were just like having that nostalgia. It's like, really, it was like every week it'd be like, oh, it's Wonder Woman, Stand By Me, Goonies. It's like they're playing Goonies like
Yeah.
everywhere. Like it's something like Back to the Future has been playing everywhere. Like people want
Right.
that, like the safety and nostalgia, like the Cobra Kai, where it's like,
Yes.
let
Hold me back to the
me have
future.
certainty.
Did was that at the cemetery?
They had no, there weren't necessarily drive-ins at the cemetery. So about this, how in LA they play movies at the cemetery.
Yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
that's the most every day is Halloween shit right
That
there. Like
is. I
that's
love
like
it, man.
it's so cool. Like literally, like I usually like to pay respects at the Mel Blanc
Oh, I love
grave.
that.
It's like What's Up Doc over there,
Yeah.
But yeah, they play the best movies. Like, they'll play like, I think I saw Ghostbusters there last summer. Like that was
Oh,
really
that's
good.
cool.
Because like again, people dressing up in ghost costumes to go see Ghostbusters at a cemetery.
Oh,
It was
cool.
like
I know. That's the drip
extra
that
good
like
movie.
all my friends have moved out to LA. They're like, dude, you're missing out. You should have moved out here. We're going doing this stuff. And I'm like,
And it's like, is everything else worth it just to see movies at a cemetery on the weekend? Probably yes.
actually, yeah.
But again, it's like, it's all your personal choices for your life.
That's right. We'll finish up the chat here. Let's see. During the time I saw him in stand up, it's Greg Nicotero. Oh, that's cool. It's upsetting that classic icons get pushed aside at cons. Yes. Ken, I hear Star Trek cast members charge a heavy price for photo ops and autographs. Yeah, I was gonna meet Crusher at MegaCon, but she was kind of a little expensive, but that's okay.
Oh, how much was Beverly Crusher?
It wasn't much. It was like 75. It was still like in the reasonable range.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I called her and I thought about it, but it's like, really, I was more of like a Data Counselor Troy,
sure.
and really like a Keenan fan, or like a straight up Picard would obviously do it.
Yeah, which by the way,
like,
I don't. If there's one thing you give yourself to movie TV wise, I know you have like zero time for a lot of media because you're in like deep rewrite mode. The new season of Picard is so good. Like
really?
Yes. So I keep
hearing that.
I hated season 1 and 2. Like I hate watch them. I wanted them to get better, but they were real bad. Season 3 is a whole new writer and a whole new team, and they bring back like the TNG cast, and it feels so much like original TNG. It's not even funny. So you don't even need to watch Picard season 1 and 2. They write season 3 as if it's its own standalone movie through 10 episodes. So
brought back all the homies, and I was just like, okay, you're starting to cheat now.
Right. But there's a way you could ruin that, right? You bring back all the homies and you make it too dark or whatever.
Okay, so I watched the first couple episodes of Picard, and then I started watching it as a producer, where I literally was getting stressed out because it's like, literally number 1 on the call sheet, Patrick Stewart. How many hours of production can my guys withstand?
Dude,
you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, they were showing shots of him. I remember some shot of like a stunt double, like it was like that same like Bruce Willis trick where they had like another bald guy running up the stairs.
Yeah, the explosions.
And I was just like, again, I understand why that's what you do to produce the show, but it's also like, I don't care about the show's called Picard. What's all this other shit?
Yes, right.
Like, what's all this other plot? Blah blah blah. Like, I'm just fast forwarding until I see the bald head.
Right. Yes.
And so I did not really enjoy the first couple seasons. Like, I wasn't digging it. And again, it's like, what I enjoyed about Next Generation was like the orderliness of the world of Star Trek. Like, it's like Picard himself is such a diplomat. He's so rational. The Prime Directive is it. You know what I mean? It's like people are working their shit out on the holodeck, but otherwise they're reasonable. Like, everybody can be reasoned with. Everybody is like trying to do their very best. That's what appealed to me.
Yes.
Whereas like whenever I try to watch like Discovery or Picard, it's like we're at war and it's so stressful. And it's like, no, that's Star Wars.
Right.
I want a trek. I want like an intellectual trek where it's like, is it right to mess with this planet? Like, that's the kind of shit I was digging.
You bring a species on board. Yeah, so
You know what I mean?
yeah, I think you'll like it. There is a conflict that does happen, a kind of warish kind of thing. But did you ever see So I Married an Axe Murderer? The woman who plays
Yeah.
the villain. Do you remember her?
Oh, it's Amanda Plummer.
Amanda Plummer is the main villain of season 3.
Yeah. Best known as Honey Bunny from Pulp Fiction.
That's
Hello.
right. Yes. Anytime I play the Pulp
You know
Fiction
what her
soundtrack
last
in my
name's
store,
Plummer.
huh?
Well, you know that her last name Plummer is. She's the daughter of Christopher Plummer
Oh my God, I never knew that.
from Sound of Music and
Yeah.
everything. Like
Okay.
everything. Yeah. So again, that's why she has that specific look. Like when you think about his face, it's her
Yeah,
face.
that
But
totally
yeah,
makes
she's a
sense.
genius actress.
Yeah,
But yeah,
she's
like
wonderful.
I saw the villain, so she's really good.
She's
Okay.
really good in it, and everybody that comes back, like their chemistry with each other is so spot on and so good that like I was just like every episode I'm just like they did it. They brought back TNG, and I'm so there's like one episode left, and it's just like they, even if that episode's bad, 9 episodes that are all great is pretty good. So
I mean, I'm so far behind on everything. Like I did watch Last of Us because again, it's like Pedro Pascal has marketed to me endlessly on my Instagram, and I fell into the trap. It's
you
like
fell into it.
everything I wanted as far as horror, like survivalism, all that shit. I loved it.
Yeah.
But like I've never seen Succession. I'm like so far behind on like, a million different things. Like I literally just went to go see the Doom Generation is like really inaccessible. Like it's really hard to get online. And I've been wanting to see it. I just did a reissue of it, so that's why I just went to see it at Alma Draft House tonight.
How was it?
But like it's really cool.
Yeah.
But I don't think they changed anything. I don't think anything's different about it, but it's just like a reissue that looks slightly better.
Okay.
Anyway, but they just released Renfield, and I'm a huge Nicolas Cage nerd.
I'm seeing it tomorrow.
And obviously, but that's the thing. I figure I need to go see that this weekend because it's like I don't know if there's spoilers or whatever. But it's like most things you can spoil me on because I don't care. Like I was like,
sure,
tell me all the things that happen on the new Picard because you have to kind of get me to open my eyeballs to watch it.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like, the world, it's like, okay, do I have the time to focus on this right now? Or I need to catch up on my own life?
Sell me on the show or this movie because I don't have the time to watch an entire season of something and go like, I'm good. That's 10 episodes.
Well, it's like you're paying for the streaming service, which is one fee, but the real thing you're paying for is with your time.
With
it's
your
like,
time, yeah.
Do I have 10 hours for this shit? No, I don't. You know what I mean? So it's like, but if you tell me that we got the old crew back, but what are they doing with Data? What's the deal with him? Like, it's like they're doing some Noonien Soon shit.
Right. It's weird because, like obviously, this, the fate of Data in the last few movies. This one, I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't watched the new Picard or anything, but they find a way to find another body. Let's just say that. That's also
okay. That's all. Again, it's like I'm always big on androids, AI, robots. Like, if you check those boxes, show up.
And when they play in that Data world, I think you'll really like it. It doesn't happen until like midway through the season, but you'll like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many episodes is the new season?
10 episodes. There's 10 episodes in the final 3rd season.
Okay, wait, so Keenan, we're wrapping up, but I just want to say, we got to figure out, like, we're just randomly rapping on stuff, which is cool.
Yeah.
But I want to figure out like a recipe for our show because it's like Halloween is a major thing. Like it's like actually really like when I just think about like the way the world works now, it's like, when you used to think about people like looking into a crystal ball, it's like that's what a phone is. That's what like you can see anywhere in the world. You can do all these things. It's like every day is so creepy, like what's possible either with AI, what like the whole pandemic is one of the weirdest things that's happened on the planet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
huge shift.
Any way you cut it, the fact that we closed down, the fact that we can like talk to each other, like even in this format that we're talking to each other right now, it's like, hey, you're in Orlando, I'm in Los Angeles, we meet up like this and have a public Zoom.
Right, yes. You can watch us talk now. Yeah, that's so weird. Like,
you know what I mean? And so I'm like, I'm trying to find what's the value we can give people. It's like I want to find a way to, like, again, my aim with my horror movies is to help people like sort of like I feel like the best outcome of horror movies is like you work through your own fears. You know what I mean? It's like a safe environment for you to feel your feelings, kind of think about some of the existential stuff, but have a fun time at the same time.
And share
And
that.
then you end up thinking about it later because horror, like, sticks, it's like later on you'll think about Freddy Krueger in the bathtub. You'll think about like Hereditary when you pass by a telephone pole or something. You know what I mean? It's like there's something that's sticky about horror.
It's internal.
So again, it's like yes. And so I invite both you and like anyone who's watching, like, what do you need from us? Because like, again, my ears and eyeballs are very, very occupied these days. I want to help people. I want to find a way to deliver value to people. So it's like, again, it's like, what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about? What's a weekly format that works for all of us?
Oh, I think we're slowly discovering it. I think over the last 2 or 3 the episodes that you've come on and we've talked, I think we've
is this my fourth or third?
This is your fourth. Yes. Okay. I think it's just one of those things that, we're kind of slowly finding it. It's, there's the movie talk, but there's also, the love of Halloween. And I really like like you said, like the everyday is Halloween aspect of like the aspects that are spooky and terrifying in the real world that we're kind of talking about today, where we also bring up pop culture and stuff to bring all into that into, but it's also mainly about just like the what the fuck of today.
I mean, I think that is as valuable for people because like we do need a way of like processing all the many changes that are happening. Like it's like everything is changing very, very quickly. And so it's just like even having somebody who can be like, hey, did you know this particular thing is going on? And like, this is reality. Like maybe you should check into this.
Right.
It's like, it's useful. So again, it's like, again, I've told you, it's like, I'm willing to dabble in fortune telling and, some sort of, again, tell me how I can be useful to both you and to everyone as we do this, because it's just like, I like having this format to talk, and it's like I like talking to you, but it's like I want to deliver some sort of help to people. So
absolutely, we'll give you guys the goods. We got a few comments in the chat here about that. Let's see, the evils of human behavior ? A dopamine rush ? A way of facing your fears ? And an insight into your insecurities and intimacy. So there's some ideas.
So I need expansion on those ideas. Please click for more details.
Yes.
It's like what was this about intimacy, or there was like a couple of like
insecurities and intimacy was one.
Again, it's like that's what I think is fascinating about like there's so many things that we don't discuss and that everybody's kind of struggling with. And again, that's what I try to like inject into my horror projects. It's just like, okay, because the format of a horror movie is you're balancing like, okay, how do we survive this existential threat, whether it's a monster, a disease, whatever the horror threat is of it. But it's just like, again, it's like the little things of life. Like it's like when I went to the Scream panel, just thinking about like, oh my God, part of the reason that this legend has persisted is just like, it gets to the heart of like when you're really, really young and you're first starting to have sex and date. It's like, who do you trust? Like, who's on your side? Like, everybody just wants to go to the party at the end of the movie, but it's like, how many people here are killers? Who is like actually plotting against us? It's like, that's the reason, beyond the masks, beyond the just like, the referential, like, hey, like, the rules of scary movies. It's like the base level of like, you actually care about Sydney and the fact that Billy Loomis is attractive, but he's a bad guy.
Yeah, like, something comes with that.
That's actually what work. Yeah, so it's like, to me, like finding that thing that actually connects with people, that's what always interests me. I think, so it's like I'm trying to find it.
Wes got that drip. He figured out how to strip everything away and just go back to your basics. And sometimes that's the best thing you can ever do. Just go back to basics. Stop trying to add so much to your script. I would say, honestly, the real horrors of today is trying to do so much, right? Like, sorry, like just trying to get this show going for the day and like writing out stuff. And just like, well, I got to work out. I got to drink more water. I got to, go to work. I have to, like the list of things just to do on your normal daily basis. I think people, as years and years go on, we just keep layering on another thing and layering on another thing till you're like, I'm kind of slowly going insane. like until you just can't do anymore, you know, and that's why
Well,
your vacation's stressful.
well, that's what I'm saying. It's like I feel like what we live in our modern time would have been judged as insane
Yes.
in prior generations. You know what I mean? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
like literally when I look at TikTok, I'm just like, this is you're either a really, really big celebrity or you're like insane. But again, it's like I've seen for many years why celebrities go insane. I'm just saying it's like there's the measure of like what is sane and insane in our
Mm-hmm.
modern time is like as far as I can figure, it's sort of like, can you afford to support your lifestyle? Like,
Yeah,
I feel like
honestly,
it's just like
you got to
it's
figure it
like
out.
I don't know what insanity is anymore, and so it's just like I don't know. It's a weird time we live in,
It
and
is.
so I want to talk to people and try to figure out how do we best proceed? How
Right.
do we ensure longevity of career and happiness?
Yes, but also bring it up to you all so you're all in the know and go, you're right, things are fucked up. If you listen to this podcast and you thought things were fine, you're in a very rude way. And they're still fine.
Literally, no, literally, we live in the greatest time to ever be alive. Like,
Yeah.
we have more options, we have more abilities, like, we have more access to everything, but you have to be so selective because, again, it's like we're at like a time war and a money war where it's like everybody's after your money and your time, and you got to like decide how you invest yourself.
You're right.
What are your goals? Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? And so it's like, again, it's like I try to surround myself with good people. I try to keep my intentions pure, you know. But
Right.
again, it's like at a certain point you sell out because you gotta keep things going. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to do all this.
Right.
So
Somebody reaches out to you
again,
and says, make a TikTok about talking to yourself with the wig on. And you're like, oh, man, do I do this? But at least there's money in it.
and that's
Shit.
what I'm saying. Is like that's what's so interesting is like now everybody does that hoping that eventually it will lead to the thing. Whereas before it's like, you know, I used to like act in commercials and stuff, and it was very clear, like, hey, I'm eating this hamburger from McDonald's, and it's like that's not me. This is a commercial. But whereas
Yeah.
now it's like, hey, I'm just gonna stop and talk to you for a while about athletic greens.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
like
Oh,
we're hosting a podcast, so you know you're gonna hear some shit.
right.
And right now I'm gonna tell you about some mushroom adaptogens or some athletic greens, or try to get you in on some sort of like, you know, whatever, like some sort of subscription service. Like it's just like that's where we're all at.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like again, like what part of like right now you can trust us because I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to get you to do anything. I'm just
No.
asking actual questions, having a genuine conversation, exploring like our true passions for horror, Halloween, all these different things. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
again, it's like to keep doing this, we do need to find a way of making this like, okay, this delivers value to the people watching it, but it delivers value to us on a regular basis. And
Yeah.
so again, it's like if we did start doing ads for Athletic Greens, could you blame us? I don't know.
Right. Yes.
Keenan,
This is that warning episode right now that if you start hearing ads from us doing Athletic Greens, it's all wrapped in one nice package.
you know, hey, this antiviral service is really great. Hey, you know what? If you want to follow your dreams, you need a Squarespace. You know, it's
Right.
like everybody's doing it, man.
It's
Crypto, get in on your crypto, bro.
I heard
You
Wix
know?
is the best way to make a website. Yeah. God.
You know what I mean? It's like this is where we all go eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Well, Jill, I always love talking to you. I think we have enough content to talk about for weeks and weeks on end. For now, we're just kind of doing it on Friday nights. I know we do a thing every Friday for Joe Bob Briggs drive-ins on the Discord. So we might find a different day maybe that works out for you or a different time or whatever.
Oh yeah, it's about to start on the 22nd again, is it?
What's that?
Something. The new season of Joe Bob's about to start next weekend, right?
Yes. Yeah. Next Friday. So.
Okay, so maybe let's discuss this. We'll figure out a timing thing.
Sure.
I don't know if Friday nights keep on working for us. We got to figure it out because you're in a different time zone than me, and I'm a different time zone from you. So it's like 7 p.m. on Fridays could get weird, and then like we'll figure it out though.
Yeah, and I'm the good thing is that I'm a night owl, so even if for you, if it works out for you, that kind of works out for everybody. You know what I mean? So that way you can be a little bit later.
Night owl.
So cool. All right, Jill. It was good talking with you. We'll have a lot more content coming soon on the show, and like you said, we'll bring you up all the most positive things about what's going on in the world in our future today.
Yes. Everybody enjoy your week, and then Keenan, thank you. Have a great week.
All right, you too. Take care. Bye.
Okay, bye.